Hello, welcome to the Background Show podcast. I'm your host, Dylan.
I'm Lindsay.
Today we have a very interesting topic that um, came to you.
Yeah.
So,
Um, so with media in general today, whether it's video games, music, TV, movies, um, there's been, the more I'm into the Bible, the more I'm realizing, like, everything of the world today, which we know, but everything in the world today is more and more demonic, and it's interesting to see how many things are not as obvious as others when it comes to the messaging, whether it's the lyrics or the lyrics of a song or like imagery in video games
mhm.
and stuff like that. So we wanted to talk about that today of, there's certain things out there that you may not even realize you're through the lyrics you're singing and the things you're watching and doing, you're speaking like curses over yourself. It's no different than if you were to just stand in the mirror and speak negatively of yourself. If you're sitting there singing a song
Mhm.
with lyrics that are pretty much, you're putting curses on yourself. So we just wanted to just discuss the things we've noticed in the media today and give you some examples of what we're talking about and why it's important to monitor what you watch, hear, see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a big gamer. I love video games. I mean, I've been gaming probably about 25 years, I'd say. And over the years, like I've really realized how much video games have changed and have, I can say, maybe gone trendy. Like they go with would you say? Go with the media type of thing, right? Like
The agenda.
the agenda. Yeah, like so a good example would be I do I admit I have not been convicted about it, but I do play some not I wouldn't say violent games, but shooters and stuff like that. And one in particular that really irritated me was one of my favorite games back in the day was called Borderlands, and they came out with a spin-off game called Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and it's whatever. The point is you get to make a character. You could choose male or female, and it's always been like that, where you can choose male or female. In certain games, you can choose a gender, but this one said non-binary, and I'm like, why is that even in a video game? First of all, why do I have to choose non-binary in a video game? It doesn't make sense to me. Another example would be Madden, Madden 25 or 24 specifically. The I'm not saying this to offend people. People, you know, people are entitled to their own opinion, but I think you should keep politics out of video games. There is no reason to put end racism at the end of the end zone or on the back of the helmet. Like we get it. It's just it bothers me that you're pushing an agenda in a video game that is supposed to be
A game.
a game. It like don't have to have an agenda. Yes, you can have a storyline and whatever. I mean, and then Far Cry 5, I think it was. Far Cry 5, very open about the occult. Like, I mean, it's yes, it's I can't say it.
Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's going to be different religions and different world orders and stuff like that, but pushing way too far into the occult, and you're seeing that like the imagery of the cultic.
Yeah,
the
and for me, I personally am in a different place than Dylan. We used to play games together, specifically Call of Duty, and I got convicted about it significantly, and I have not touched the game since. But what really pushed me, besides the violence, is the more recent updates. They kept coming out. There's like packs where you can become different characters, and it's one thing but even that, I don't understand why it needs to be in a game that's supposed to be a war simulator. Why you need to be like when years ago, I think the 2019, I bought the Leatherface pack, and it was, you got a little chainsaw like as if you were Leatherface. Now, move to the newest game, you had the option to be Lilith, and there was a couple other ones that were super demonic. And for me, it was like a wake up call because I'm like, okay, wait a second, because now you're using actual demons that
Yeah.
are in the Bible, and also like the trace arounds, like what it would do when you get a kill or something like that. It was pretty much the pentagram.
Yeah, it was.
It
It
was
was.
pretty close.
Yeah.
To it, and it was just becoming incredibly dark. I told him, I said, I can't play anymore. And then over time, when I was praying on it, I just couldn't play that game anyway because all you're doing is killing people the whole time, which is very against what God would probably want us to be doing. So I was convicted by it. I can't speak for him, but I was convicted by it. So I don't partake at all now. If I play video games, it's going to be like Mario Kart.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like I understand, like for example, obviously video games, movies, they all have makers and creators, and Call of Duty is made by a company called Activision, and I understand implementing things from other Activision games. Like I'm not against that, but why? Like Diablo, yes, Diablo is that's what the game is that with Lilith and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but why do you have to put why do you even have to make a game called Diablo? I mean, I get it. There's a different niche for a
But I
certain.
think the other part of that, what you're saying is, if I wanted to play Diablo, I
I'd
would
be
have bought Diablo.
yeah.
I don't need it in the game. I just paid $70 for. I don't want the demonic stuff, and it's like really pushed
Yeah, and it's like it's
in
almost like you
there.
don't even have the option not to have it. You know what I'm
Mm-mm.
saying? Like I feel like
Okay, another perfect example about the agenda piece with it for gamer tags and stuff. You can use devil, Satan, whatever you want, but we tried to make our tag something with Jesus, and it said it was inappropriate, non-inclusive language.
mm-hmm.
You can't use Jesus, you can't use anything that's like Christian based,
Yeah.
but there's plenty of people that had
Well,
satanic
another thing
type.
I noticed the other day, actually, I'm not a big fan of it. I love Need for Speed games, like I love the racing simulators, but the new one is like, I don't know, the cars look cool, but they added some weird like graphics to like where it looks almost like anime, like and anime within itself
Yeah,
is
that's a whole nother
that's a whole
discussion,
nother
which we might
discussion.
get to because we have multiple medias we want to talk about here.
And but the thing I noticed is I don't know, I was trying to just be cute and be nice, for you, because I made her a '65 Mustang build, and I literally tried to put in the clan tag or the license plate number wifey, and apparently that's profanity, but yet the game has a few occasional swear words in it, like they'll drop the a word or something,
Yeah,
but I can't put wifey as my
license plate.
license plate. How is that profanity? So there's like a weird line now in video games where they consider profanity and what they consider to be a okay.
It's starting to really, and for me, the reason why I was like, I'm done with it, with the video game thing is, I'm just gonna be honest. I think it's way too expensive for you to be so. You can't do this, you can't do that, but everyone else can do what they want to do if it's with the agenda and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I just don't. I don't see that God would want me to spend $70 on a game where I am killing people, and I don't know. It just wasn't for me anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but do you have anything else on the video game topic you
I
want
think
to
that's
add?
really it. I mean, it's a shock to me how much they've changed over the years.
Yeah, I'm just glad to see they haven't really changed with Nintendo games because
Yeah.
those are fun anyway. Mario, like now
There
we
is a Christian game in development that's supposedly coming out by the end of I think they said the end of 2024 called Gate Zero. It's actually based it starts off in the future like the year 2072 or something like that. But you and this guy or this your buddy or whatever, you travel back into time and you actually get to it's open world style, so you can travel around Jerusalem and during the time of the Bible, which I'm kind of excited for, but
that's cool.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Um, but yeah, we can move on and get to the next topic for sure.
So
Unless
I
you have,
think next I would like to touch, I think, on movies next and TV.
Hmm.
I think we've covered through the video game thing the
Definitely.
agenda piece, so we
Yeah.
know a lot of TV shows do that now, but I wanted to speak personally about um horror movies because that was something I had extreme conviction about because when Dylan met me, I was a huge horror fan. I used to go to horror comic cons. I met all these celebrities, which by the way, I will say though, these horror they can play a part because they were hands down probably the nicest celebrities because I've met other ones too at comic cons that I'm like, oh, they played the sweetest character and they will not even give you the time of day or they'll charge you like $300 and I'm like, no, who do you think you are? Anyway,
Yep.
so with that being said, um, I feel like horror movies have become very normalized in society. It used to be, right, like, okay, a perfect example. Movies I will still watch, very old ones. Black and white silent horror movies. For like more thrillers. Like for example, the original Phantom of the Opera and those kind of movies with Lon Chaney, for example, um, they did scare audiences because at that time no one had seen imagery like that, and his makeup was so good for that movie. And if you look up Lon Chaney, you'll see he did multiple different characters where it was all makeup, and it was like skill back then to act like that.
Hmm.
But also like there's a movie called The Man Who Laughs, and actually the Joker character from Batman is based off of him, and it was a movie, I think it was 1931 or 1932 it came out. Conrad Boyd, if you want to look it up, it's a silent movie, it's very good. But my point is you look at the pictures and you're like, wow, that's creepy. But the movies back then they weren't to scare you. Yeah, there was a shock factor, but that whole movie, the whole point of it was he was a deformed man who was being paraded around to be that's how the person that took care of him made money, was to pretty much be like, oh, look at this guy who's stuck with a permanent smile on his face. And really the movie is about him getting free from that and finding love and blah blah blah. So it's like, like back, those are the ones I still watch because yeah, they have creepy imagery, but the storyline is not meant to shock and torture and whatever. I mean, I was very heavily involved in horror movies, and I'm bringing this up for a reason as far as my walk with Christ. So I really got into the Conjuring series. And I had actually met Lorraine Warren at a wedding. She sat next to me. I met Judy as well, her daughter. And I've had the gift of discernment from her, and I didn't get any bad feelings off of her. But this was before I really heavily dove into about, don't seek out mediums and
Yeah.
astrology, stuff like that. Um, but with that, it's like once I met her, she had told me, oh, I don't feel that there's anything bad attached to you. Well, that's what started the spiral of me just getting heavily involved in horror movies because I always had a fear that if I watched like any movies with like Ouija boards, which I did kind of avoid, Ouija boards, possession, anything like that, that I'd be like inviting something in. And then when
Hmm.
I met her and she was like, "Oh, nothing bad is attached to you. I only feel light and blah blah blah." I was like, "Okay, then I'm good. I
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it." So, what's interesting about it is when I started really getting into these movies and I would see all of them and I'd go down rabbit holes. There were some really dark ones I saw that I kind of wish I didn't see because I shouldn't have. Um, but I noticed during that time period my sleep paralysis was coming back. I used to
Hmm.
have sleep paralysis as a child. I used to see like demons when and I couldn't move and blah, blah, blah. And it's interesting because since I removed the horror movies from my life, and like I said, I'm not talking about the ones that are like the older ones. Like there's a movie called Freaks too that all the P.T. Barnum people were in,
Hmm.
but it's another movie that's like about karma, and it's just like it's really not horror. It just was shocking for people at that time because they hadn't seen someone with no arms, or it
Right.
was just like a more shock value at the time. But since I have removed those horror movies from my life, and I'm not bashing people that watch them still, because if you're not being convicted, we're not telling you what to do. I'm
Exactly.
just telling you how it changed my life when I removed it because I had really bad anxiety. We know this.
Mhm.
Really bad depression. And why at the time my comfort movie would be to watch The Conjuring
Right.
is beyond me.
Yeah. It's like the same thing when we were talking about video games. You know, you could be a Christian and still play, and we're not telling you not to play these games. I have not been convicted about playing some of the games that I do play, you know, but obviously I felt convicted about the pentagrams. Like I'm not gonna have pentagrams flashing in front of my face. I used to love Doom. Doom is one of my favorite games. I love the old style that Doom 64. Like that game's fun,
Yeah.
but you're literally fighting demons. And I mean the old ones didn't have pentagrams all over it.
Yeah.
But the new one, like you, it's just flashing pentagrams all over the screen, like actual pentagrams. So
Yeah.
I told myself I'm not playing this. You know, you're slaying demons as a, but you know, you can do whatever you want. Just you know, if you have a personal conviction, you know, that's
We're just saying follow it
yeah,
because, like, okay, so this is where I was getting to with it. So, like I said, I watched all the Conjuring movies except the newest one because that came out after. But I met Lorraine Warren. I whatever. So my point of bringing that up is I have not had sleep paralysis in since I cut it out. I haven't had sleep paralysis. I have noticed an increase in my I'm not as depressed. I'm not as anxious. So the other day we were trying to find something to watch and there was a documentary on the Warrens and I said I'm kind of interested in this to see, whatever. It did not, correct? It did not even show anything
no,
other than like screen grabs of the movie, which I've already seen 800 times. That night I had sleep paralysis.
that one night.
That one night.
Yeah.
That one night I let it back in.
Mm-hmm.
Game over. It was like that one invitation for the devil to be like, "Oh, you're coming back to the dark side. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that."
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's important to know if you have, I think, the gift of discernment, and I've told him this too. I've always felt like I can sense things, but I think how I handle that is what's going to be welcomed into my spirit.
Yeah.
If I focus on the dark, 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 I'm just allowing all this stuff to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
If I focus on God and the light, I'm going to have more peace within my soul. So I'm bringing it up because I feel like it needs to be said too when it comes to these horror movies because we all, watch streaming services now and stuff. They're so readily available.
And
like
it's
you
also
can.
I feel like they advertise
Mhm.
those movies, like especially on like streaming services,
Yeah.
like they're all in your face. Like that's like the first thing you see. Like I mean, 9 times out of 10, you open up a streaming app and the first movie's a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing because I actually I'm gonna say it. I don't regret it. I still like the movie, but I actually have a tattoo of a horror movie. And I met him, Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell. So the original, not the remake. The remake's scary. The original, I mean, it's kind of scary, but it's so hokey that I was like, for a while there, I got rid of like most of my horror movie collection, but those ones I just could not let go of because I was like, it's hokey, who cares, whatever. But I finally got convicted of it, and now I got rid of them.
Yeah.
But I'm not one of those people that's going to sit there and be like, I regret my tattoo because I don't. I don't. You know what? It was a part of my life. The artist that did my tattoos, he did a really good job. It's not even like it's like a crappy tattoo, so I can't be mad about it. But my point being, like, even things that you feel like, well, I've just loved it forever, doesn't mean that it's gonna be something that you can't let go of.
Yeah, I'm like that with Call of Duty. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember a funny story, real quick. My mom, she's watching this podcast. She's probably gonna get a kick out of this. But we went to GameStop to get Call of Duty Modern Warfare when it came out. She was like, "Oh, it's rated M." And I said, "Mom, I've been buying the same game. You know, when it came out for multiplayer, they rated it M because you know you had a more in-depth storyline, and it also, you know, you're killing other players. So they rated the game to up M, and I was like 14 years old. And I said, "Mom, I'm playing the same games for like years, but the rating changed because you're going online and stuff like that." But I mean, now I don't even want to I don't even care. Like I used to be so excited to read the updates about the new Call of Duty. Now I'm just like, oh great, another one. Who cares? You know,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
like
it really does need
yeah,
updates because people, like, because you see previous, and I know they're coming soon because this year's flying and Halloween's gonna be coming up,
yeah,
and you're gonna see all these new horror ones, and I'm gonna be
yeah.
like, whatever, moving on.
Do you have any? Yeah, did you have any scripture for that, or are you just gonna read them all at the end,
I was gonna read them at the end because they all kind of
like align
sum
with the
up
same?
everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So the big one for me,
Music,
and I don't know if it is for you,
definitely.
we have worked very hard. Also, if anyone is interested, we will share with you the links of our playlists if you like
Hmm.
these styles of music. But we worked very hard to cut out secular music. Um I think it's important to see, I think people have a specific definition of what secular music might be. It
Yeah.
always has to have swear words, or it's it has to be super negative, blah blah blah. But I was doing some research on this yesterday, and I was kind of like in shock by
Mhm.
some of the songs because like there's certain music out there now. I mean, that's like obvious but not obvious.
Yeah.
And then there's ones that aren't obvious at all. Um so for example, he the other day what brought it up, well, I'm telling you this has been on my mind for
A lot.
a while. But he had brought up to me, he's like, an example would be Sympathy for the Devil by Rolling Stones. He's like, he goes like, when you listen to it, do you really pay attention to what the lyrics are saying? So he just read it to me as if it wasn't the song. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like that's
Yeah,
really
it
dark.
literally sounds like the devil wrote that song, and I mean, personally think the devil influences music. I
Well, the
mean,
devil does influence music, and that what we were talking. I mean, when he was in heaven before he fell, he was an angel of
yeah,
music.
yeah,
So he has that ability to influence people. Also, I'm just gonna pull it up really quick. The example that I was like, what? All right. So, growing up, my mom listens to everything. I listen to everything.
yeah,
Um, so you have ballads, rock and roll. I mean, like I said, there's the ones that are obvious, okay, that people know.
yeah.
We know AC/DC Highway to Hell, probably not the best thing to listen to as a Christian.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's obvious. It has the name in it. I mean, I saw Ozzy with Black Sabbath, and I loved Black Sabbath. I loved Ozzy, and now I read the lyrics, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Like wow. You know.
So one of the ones that shocked me, I came across it on YouTube on a YouTube short, and someone was saying, "Oh, for example, Barry Manilow's 'I Write the Songs,' um, was written from the perspective of the devil, like it was the devil speaking through him." And I'm like thinking of the song because I haven't listened to it in a while, but like if you listen to it, which look it up if you haven't heard it, it's such a nice ballad, right? I played it for
Yeah.
you. Like
Yeah.
you would have no clue, like whatever. So let me just read some of the words, and it literally does sound like the devil. This is how it starts. I've been alive forever, and I wrote the very first song. I put the words and the melodies together. I am music, and I write the songs. I write the songs that make the whole world sing. I write the songs of love and special things. I write the songs that make young girls cry. I write the songs. I write the songs. My home lies deep within you, and I've got my own place in your soul. Now, when I look out through your eyes, I am young again, even though I'm very old.
Yeah. That's
Okay, I never listened to it like that.
yeah. I mean, either. And I'm gonna tell you this. I love heavy metal. Like I've been into metal for as long as I can remember, and um, metalcore specifically because I love the melodic riffs, and there's a lot of good Christian bands out there that do have that metal sound. But metal in general, like I mean, it's very dark. Like
Mm-hmm.
I what really gets me about music, I don't even understand this, so maybe some of you can say something in the comment section, but why do metal bands specifically refer to God as a sheep?
Yeah, they do.
I mean we
That was actually gonna be what I brought next.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
No, and it's not just metal songs though, because okay, because um I think it's important we bring up the music too. Not just for us, not just for your soul, but these are the songs being played on the radio
yeah.
today that your children are listening to. I follow a popular celebrity, I'm not gonna mention names, whose child just turned 13, and he has an Instagram, and he did one of those question things, and someone asked him, "Who's your favorite artist right now?" And his answer was Billie Eilish.
Oof. Uh-uh.
So here's some of the lyrics if you haven't heard it. I didn't listen to it till yesterday, like I said, I was researching because I really don't care to listen to it anymore, but I think it's important to know the words and the message that children are listening to. I think the song got like number one for like 3 weeks in a row or some crazy thing I was
Wow.
reading. And it's called All Good Girls Go to Hell. But it says, very first line, my Lucifer is lonely. And then it says, standing there, killing time, can't commit to anything but a crime. Peter's on vacation, an open invitation. And then it goes down to say, this is the part we looked at each other like, okay. All the good girls go to hell, because even God herself has enemies. And once the water starts to rise and heaven's out of sight, she'll want the devil on her team.
That's that's blatantly in your face. And you have people that just listen to this and they don't even like it doesn't even click, you know?
Um, yeah, for instance, I'm going to upset people with this one. Sorry, not sorry. Taylor Swift. Taylor
Taylor
Swift.
Swift. Taylor Swift.
I know a lot of people that are obsessed with Taylor Swift, and you're entitled to like what you like we
Yeah.
said. I'm not saying that. But when you really listen, because I didn't listen to the new album. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just like Taylor Swift. I used to listen to Taylor Swift in high school. I really liked her Red album. The ones where I don't know, I did. I used to like her. Something shifted in me when I started praying about it, like really praying about secular music, and everything in my being told me no, don't, no. Um, First of all, the imagery in her most recent videos, I don't know how you can deny the demonic imagery. I understand it's art, that there's art, but when you're talking about your main audience is younger girls, and just alone, I'm just going to say it, not even reading the lyrics of the new album, but the shift from what she used to sing to now the explicit language.
Yeah.
It I mean, there's one song I was reading the lyrics, just trying to read the lyrics, and I don't remember what song it is, but she says the F word like every 2 seconds in the
Mm-hmm.
and people are literally going in droves to go to her concert with their 6-year-old to listen to that.
Yeah.
Um, she has some very blasphemous lyrics in this new album. Um, where she claims, I would have died for your sins, and she mentions multiple things, and what gets me is I know some very, very strong Christian people that are just obsessed with her. And for me, I take a step back and I say, people, there has been talk in the media about, oh, is she a witch? Does she perform rituals on the stage and
Mm-hmm.
whatever? Now, I am starting to believe it's possible, because I don't know how someone so deep in the Bible can still be so entranced by her
Yeah.
and her
And
lyrics
yeah.
and be okay with their children listening to that and idolizing idolizing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what, like, the music industry in general has become incredibly about idolizing. And I think that's one of the biggest part. There shall be no idol before me.
Yeah. I have an example. I used to really love Nirvana. And yes, we know Nirvana is, very dark and evil and Kurt Cobain. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think Courtney Love killed Kurt Cobain, but that's another topic. And but I mean, there's numerous interviews of him. We know he did drugs and heroin and alcohol and partied and dressed as a woman and stuff
Yep.
like that on stage. But there's numerous things of him saying that God is gay, and he got arrested for spray painting God is gay on a synagogue. I mean, and then look at the music video for Heart Shaped Box. I mean, it's literally a Jesus-looking figure climbing up a ladder in a diaper to be crucified.
Yeah. And that's even like
The
the
imagery is
imagery,
so
yeah, like,
like,
and the imagery today of like these,
and that video came out in 1993, I believe.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like they started.
Yeah, it started in the 1950s, 40s
I
with
did,
the
well,
blues music. I mean, with that
no,
one guy, I forget his name,
Johnson.
something Johnson. I mean, he
Um,
literally wrote a song saying that I
well,
sold my soul to the
and he
devil,
did.
and he did, and I don't know how true this is. I mean, I've read things where they actually found his body like literally torn to shreds, like almost like hellhounds had taken him. I don't know how
Robert
true.
Johnson.
Yes, I don't know how true that is.
And that was
I
actually,
think he wrote a song called "The Hellhounds Blues" or something like that.
he had a lot that
Yeah,
were, but he actually was born in 1911
yeah,
and died in 1938. And his song, yeah, Hellhound on My Trail,
yeah.
Me and the Devil Blues.
So 1930s is when music kind of really started to pop off anyway, without the instrumental and stuff like that. And obviously we did have people, but like I'm talking about actually recording music.
Right, right.
You know.
Yeah. And I think it's just gone completely secular. Um, it's amazing to me what people will like. Okay, for example, like we just went to Michael W. Smith,
Mm-hmm.
and he's an amazing country artist. But like you think
Contemporary.
about it.
What?
Uh,
You said country.
why not? Why
Wait.
not Christian?
Yeah.
But he's amazing, and that stadium was not very full.
No.
But meanwhile, other people are willing to pay $25,000 a ticket
Mm-hmm.
to see people like Taylor Swift. It's crazy, how much of a influence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're literally people like, oh yeah, here's all my savings for one night.
Yeah.
But yeah. So let's read.
Real quick too. I mean, like I said, I was saying before, I love my metal. I love my hip hop. But there is some really good Christian hip hop out there, and there are some really good Christian metal out there. I found so many. I love like that European style metal. I found so many. If you do your research, you could find any genre in Christian music.
Yeah.
And make sure you do your research on the actual band and what they stand for themselves. I took very good time in figuring out if these bands are really Christian or if they.
Agreed. For example, I worked very hard on my Christian hip hop playlist, and I'm sorry to disappoint a lot of people, but you will not find Kanye West online.
Yeah, no.
Because he came out with that Christian album, and I think it was just a blasphemous joke. Unfortunately, I was hoping, I was like, oh, cool, maybe. But where he's at now,
Yeah.
and the decisions he's making right now, yeah, cannot support and put on the playlist.
No.
So, all right. So the first, let's see. I'll do 1 John 2.
Okay.
Do not love this world nor the things it offers you. For when you love the world, you do not have the love of the Father in you. For the world offers only a craving for physical pleasure, a craving for everything we see, and pride in our achievements and possessions. These are not from the Father, but are from this world. And this world is fading away along with everything that people crave. But anyone who does what pleases God will live forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one. Romans 12. And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. And then I was going to read this one. In full, the John 15.
Yeah.
If the world hates you, remember that it hated me first. The world would love you as one of its own if you belong to it, but you are no longer part of the world. I chose you to come out of the world, so it hates you. Do you remember what I told you? A slave is not greater than the master. Since they persecuted me, naturally they will persecute you. And if they had listened to me, they would listen to you. They will do all this to you because of me, for they have rejected the one who sent me. They would not be guilty if I had not come and spoken to them, but now they have no excuse for their sin. Anyone who hates me also hates my Father. If I hadn't done such miraculous signs among them that no one else could do, they would not be guilty. But as it is, they have seen everything I did, yet they still hate me and my Father. This fulfills what is written in their scriptures. They hated me without cause. And then the last one is Ezekiel 28. A message from the sovereign Lord. You were the model of perfection, full of wisdom and exquisite in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Your clothing was adorned with every precious stone. And then it goes down to say, I ordained and anointed you as the mighty angelic guardian. You had access to the holy mountain of God and walked among the stones of fire. You were blameless in all you did from the day you were created until the day evil was found in you. Your rich commerce led you to violence, and you sinned, so I banished you in disgrace from the mountain of God. I expelled you, O mighty guardian, from your place among the stones of fire. Your heart was filled with pride because of all your beauty. Your wisdom was corrupted by your love of splendor, so I threw you to the ground and exposed you to the curious gaze of kings. And don't people believe that that was talking about?
Yeah, they believe it's talking about Lucifer or Satan himself. Um, Obviously, he was cast out of heaven because he felt like he was better than God.
Yep.
And
that's what all this music, that's what the messaging is trying to say, is it's saying that. So our point is when you sing that stuff, you know, I used to be the same way. That's what I'm saying. Until I was convicted, I feel like it's just a song.
Yeah.
Whatever. But when you sing these things, the life and death are in the tongue. So when you're speaking these negative things, the very depressing songs, you're speaking that over yourself. The ones where it's blaspheming God, you're speaking that into your life.
Yep.
When you sing along with that. And I think it's important to bring that up, you know, really pay attention to the lyrics, because you know what, if it's to a tune that you really like or a beat you really like, you know, there is other music out there that will not bring curses on your life when you sing along to them.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I mean, it's you should speak life into, you should speak life into your life. Like whatever comes out of your mouth should be godly. It should be positive. You don't want to bring a curse to your life. You don't want to bring yourself down with these negative and ungodly things, because then your life is not going to, you're not going to, I want to say successful. I would say more like,
I feel like you're creating roadblocks for yourself.
yes, you're pretty much keeping yourself in one spot. You're not pushing yourself forward to get closer to God.
Yep.
Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. I think that was pretty much it. Like I had mentioned, we really both have worked separately on different genres of music. We have Spotify, so we're both willing to share the links to our lists. I worked on the hip hop one, and I have a Feel Good Christian Vibes, which is like Ann Wilson and LO Worship, which is Sadie Robertson's band, like that kind of genre. And then he's worked really hard on like did you do like a Southern rock type?
Yeah, I have a couple. I have a Christian metalcore, which is, heavy metal, like melodic riffs. And I have one called Christian Hair Bands, which is a little mixture of like a power metal style with like that whole 60s, 70s vibe as well. And there's some 80s metal in there too. So I really worked hard on that because I do love my rock music. So I'm really willing to give you guys those if you're interested as well.
So yeah, but we just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention today. I'm sure we're all aware of it, but like I just wanted to share kind of a little bit of my testimony about how removing this stuff from my life has changed me. I will add for the music thing, since I really like bass. I like bass when I'm in the car. And I used to listen to a very, very secular artist, very secular. Actually, I think he's ordained as a
Satanic priest.
satanic
Yeah.
priest. And I didn't, I let it like, I'm like, whatever, like, I don't believe what he believes, but his music's great. Like, I love the beat. And just to see what would happen, kind of like with the movie thing, I put it on the other day, and I couldn't even listen to it. Like, I
Yeah.
used to listen to it on repeat all the time,
Yeah.
and now I'm like, doesn't even affect me in the same way. So like, I want to make it clear that if you really pray about it and you're really convicted about it and you actually remove it from your life, I promise you, you will not miss it.
Yeah.
I don't miss it.
No.
I don't. I have this other playlist I have is like so great. We actually just went to a Christian hip hop concert.
Yeah, and
It was so
it
good.
was lit.
And
Like
you
it
know
was
what?
literally lit.
And it was so fun because the other part of it is like you get all the fun of like, yeah, we're having a good time. And no one drank because it was at
Yeah.
a church. Like, so you didn't have to deal with drunk people.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to. It was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, but I just want to let once you remove it and you pray about it and whatever, I promise you, you're not even gonna miss it. You won't. God is good, and He's gonna make sure that you're getting the message you need to get, and it's not going to be through these artists that are unfortunately are being used by the devil and not by God.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's close out with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, just thank you for today. Thank you for the beautiful day that you have made. Just pray that we can rejoice and be glad in it, Lord. And I just pray that anything that is of the devil and is of the world, Lord, that is affecting our lives negatively, Lord, I just pray that you would intervene and you would convict and help us to understand that we need to focus on you. We just need to dive deep into your word and focus more on what you have planned, Lord, because you have a plan for us. It's a good plan. It's a plan to give us a hope and a future, a plan to give prosper us, Lord. And I just pray that you continue to bless us, Lord, and guide us through the week, Lord, and just be good to us as you've always been good to us. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Bye.
Bye. God bless.